WP, a human just barely chained together 2000 demonic contracts in an infinite feedback loop, exploiting loopholes in each in order to fuel the next. All of hell's lawyers are furious. His broad stature could barely fit through the door frame. Though fit he did. Each angered stomp leaving a scorched hoof print behind. Standing at the top of the stairs at the contractual archive, he watches in frustration at the chaos unfurling. What in the hell is going on in here? Sir. It's the contracts. One of several smaller demons shout in fear. I can see that. He growls back, looking out to the volumes of tomes stacked infinitely high. They crackle with their infernal magics, flipping in unison through their pages. Each section they stop at flashes brilliantly before rolling to the next section. Thousands flipping back and forth, making it dangerous for any demon to traverse between the rows. But what do we do? A flittering imp cries out. How did this all start? The large demon roars. So great is his voice that it trembles the room and the panic below quickly stops. The same demon who first replied raises its crimson claw. He gets a low growl as a response. So the contracts we've been making with humans. There was a slight miscommunication between our dealers. How slight? The human in question may have gotten several thousand contracts written in a short period of time. Double quote. What? We're trying to fix everything at the same time, but they're all running into each other and enough. Bring me the transcripts. Summon the deep scribes and the architects. I'm getting to the bottom of this. 2 hours of reading and slamming his fist on each fresh table, motherfucker. I'm sorry, M-Lord. But whoever this Nick is, he made these solid, I know that. You will create a council with the others to create the Satana clause to prevent this from ever happening again. Since it was Satana who started this mess, he gets to be reminded of it for all eternity. He shifts his infernal gaze to a hunched creature. And you will assemble whoever you need to get those contracts out of the archives and into their own quarantine before they burn anything. I need to meet with the seers. Talk to the boss. A couple of sacrifices later. Yes, sir. It's being isolated as we speak, sir. I've also reached out for third-party estimates from Limbo. We'll look into adapting the long-range communication humans are experimenting with. I understand. And I assure you, there will not be a messiah of loopholes. From my understanding, he'll only gain all of his powers during the night, a few days after winter solstice, and depends on the faith of the people to continue whatever work he has planned. Yes, sir. I'll start the counter-propaganda now. Yes, sir. We'll pit him against Christ. It was a masterpiece. A piece of demonic engineering that would be studied by demons for centuries if he didn't miss his mark. For millennia. A scintillating Ouroboros that continually fractured into new forms using some kind of newfangled Markov chain built into the dense legalese, ensuring it almost never repeated itself. Each node a demonic cellular automata, unwittingly feeding a self-sustained, distributed, demonic learning algorithm for the sake of warping itself to become indiscernible from any other demonic contract. We hadn't even noticed it happening until it was 2000 demonic contracts long. And it had achieved self-sustenance at 1000 contracts. By the 6th major iteration, the initial mess of a contract had transformed into something the lower class demons had trouble discerning from regular bad faith contracts. By the 14th it had become difficult for even the demonic lawyers who enjoyed such twisting legalese. It was only a matter of time until it would become indistinguishable to even a duke of my standing. It's by the 23rd major iteration, we finally realized it had closed all the most common loopholes in contract law since the 12th iteration. Closed all the uncommon ones the higher ups took advantage of by the 16th. And began closing esoteric loopholes from attack vectors we had never even thought about by the 20th. Pretty soon, we'd have to enclose this into its own circle of hell, lest it run rampant and replace it instead. To hermeneutically seal it off in its own sphere of comprehension. To void gap and harden the rest of hell, while simultaneously dealing with the inclusion of the first new major sin in millennia. And you are telling me that the innovative genius that came up with this is just some lowly paper pusher in some no-name university? That he refused the promotion to becoming a Duke of Hell due to religious differences? Did you not explain to him the exorbitant benefits package? What do you mean he's a Zen Buddhist? She did what now? Fritz spat. Fire scorching messenger and Stonewall alike. How many contracts did she enter into? 2,000 of them? Really? File. Now. Actually. It's 1998 Contra Stone cracked as a body hit it. I did not ask for your pedantry. Slime. Keep your silence or you'll be fed to the hound. Vili shuffled into the room again. Properly demure. Good. Here. Fallen 1. Frit accepted the file. Carefully controlling her flame away from the documents. The idiots from up in third probably hadn't fireproofed it in the past 4 years. And if it meant that no name intern from up in 6 ended up roasted. Who the heaven cared? Okay. Let's see. What Frit beheld was intoxicatingly infuriating. Even within the first 10 contracts. The first one was standard soul barter. But the second started asking for additional things, usually things 4 dealt with, and every time. The downsides that were bartered for were cleared up with a different entity 1 or 2 contracts later. One wasn't. But a search and find magic revealed that particular loophole of having until the next eclipse she saw with her naked eyes was cleared via bartering her sight away if either sun or moon were in eclipse. It went on and on and on. Further enraging Frit with every word. All in all, this human had duped 2,000 individual demons. How had she learned the names of them all? At least. The assumption was 2,000 after 200 individual names. It seemed logical. 2,000 demons. All vying for a piece of her. And yet, none of them would ever get it. This could not stand. Or Frit was not a lawyer. This has gone on long enough. I'm going up. The slime shouted. But it was promptly ignored. As ignorami was supposed to be. Frit appeared near a village overlooking a low-lying area. Strange. Last time she had been here. This had been an island in the middle of an inland sea. There was a curious heavenly aura about the village. But one that suited any demon fine. It was the kind easily corrupted. Someone had already done that. In fact, a zealotry compulsion. It seemed. Decent work for a sixer. The home, however, was outside of the village proper. Which suited Frit just fine. She approached the nondescript farmer's cottage and, gotcha. An inferno raged against the binding circle. But it failed to even become visible. Cease. And just like that, Frit ceased. A binding ritual? How? Release me. Nat. Roth. The woman said as she walked into view. Demure. Nondescript dress and the haircut of the innocent since time immemorial in long blonde tresses. Perhaps 4 decades old. How's a Roth demon become a lawyer anyway? Doesn't matter. I suppose. Won't matter in a bit either. Won't matter? Frit repeated. Confusion breaking through her anger for just long enough to break into her voice. Ugh. I am a demon of the 8th circle. Wench. You will release me or I will personally feed your soul to the hound. Oh. He'll be dead too. A tome was dropped on the ground at Frit's feet. A tome with all of the contracts. It was palpable. 8,998 contracts. In 3 loops of 666. It's taken me years to do this. But finally I will free humanity from sin. Free humanity from its demons. Destroy hell itself. Destroy hell? Frit was unable and unwilling to resist the cackle that came up from inside. You cannot destroy hell. Girl. We are eternal. We are the fallen. We feed on the impulses that were implanted into your pitiful kind. No. You're not paying attention. Are you? Forgot your basic numerology over the centuries? What a novice. She reached into her dress. Taking out a necklace with a vial on it, prompting Frit to recoil and hiss. Recognize this. Do you? Holy water. The holiest. In fact. Straight from on high. 9 droplets of it. You see. Our father has become a tad peeved with your continued corruption of his creations. Did you know that heresy wasn't even a thing until you lot made it one? And then made it worse with all the schisms and different interpretations over the centuries? So he sent me. And for the past 20 years, I have consorted with your kind, so that nobody else could ever again. And for the first time since Frit had been called down to the Morning Star's chambers decades ago, fear surged inside the wrath demon's body. This was not the kind of false zealotry from the town over. This was real. This was, who are you? Weren't you listening? I'm the daughter. The one who shouldn't be. But I'm fine with not being named in the Holy Trinity. Can you imagine a Holy Quadrinity? She sighed. 666 is your lot's number. 3 is ours. Combine them and... well, the results are in here. She patted the tome before standing up straight and looking skywards. Well, it's been good meeting this world. She looked straight on at the binding circle. It's not been good meeting you, Ifrit, she added. And with one swift movement, she popped the cap on the vial. In slow motion, Ifrit watched the contents fall. The first, second, third, and fourth droplet did nothing. Yet the fifth, the demon instinctively knew, would.